Good morning. Oh, is it still morning? Yes,
Yes, it
11:30, right? Okay.
is.
Good morning, Nicole.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
How's your
Early
week?
for you. I'm
What's
sorry.
Oh no. All good. It's all good. Um yeah, how's your day going so far?
It's good, it's good. I'm just getting some stuff done. It's my last day at my other job later today, so
Oh, I
just getting
see.
to.
Okay. Okay, very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. Um
yeah.
did you have a chance to look over that outline I had sent?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Awesome.
Looks awesome. Gotta
Great.
watch these.
Sweet. Do you mind putting them just actually can you just let me know what they are so that I just have them in the notes for my own uh reference?
Yeah, so from the TV series From.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and then I watched Indecent Proposal
Okay.
and Young Werther, which
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That was at TIFF last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I'm just going to do a very quick intro and then we'll just hop into. So I'll do a quick intro. I want to talk about the concept of the show really quick and then we'll get into our watches and take the conversation from there, okay?
Sounds great.
Awesome. I don't. Oh, here we go. All right. Welcome to Convos and Cameos, where my co-host Nicole and I bring special guests on the show to catch up and talk about movies. In this pilot episode, the special guests are us. I'm incredibly excited for Nicole and I to introduce ourselves and take this first episode to chat with each other so you can get to know us better. So, Nicole, here we are. Episode 1, Convos and Cameos. How are you feeling?
I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to get this show up and running and very glad to be hosting it with you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So, Convos and Cameos is an idea that I've had and that I've been sitting on for a while now, maybe a year or so. Because over the years I've interviewed a lot of industry professionals, directors, film writers, behind the scenes talent, producers, like it's and it's awesome. I love talking with people and talking with filmmakers in the industry. Um but I wanted to kind of have a platform where I could bring some of those individuals back and like just have more robust conversations, catch up with them, tell stories and just get to know them better as people as well as filmmakers. So that's Convos and Cameos. And I'm so happy to have you here as well as co-host because you are also familiar with interviewing talent and you have your own podcast. So yeah,
Yes.
I'm happy to have you here. What do you think about the concept? What makes you want to be a part of this?
I love this idea, and I love the idea of having longer form conversations with filmmakers and actors and all the people in these creative industries. I think it's fun to listen to interviews where you get to see the real side of them and maybe less of like the PR trained, here's your here's your
Yeah.
answer in the formal interview settings for different things. So I love this idea that you had, and it really drew me in quickly. So I'm very excited to be a part of it.
Right. And no, I definitely feel that like as much as great of an opportunity is to be on a red carpet and talk with a celebrity or whatever. Red carpets are hectic, right?
Very hectic.
Yeah, red carpets are hectic. And even when you have one-on-one interviews, like you're saying, there's kind of this PR angle that kind of all of us are taking. The
Yeah.
talent has a movie to promote and we have content to get that has to appeal to an audience. And so it is a little bit regimented when we do these interviews. And so it's nice to kind of have a more free form space to just talk with people.
Yeah, I think it's cool too to get to know people when you see them in different roles and things like that. And when you really have a chance to see the real side of them, it's funny to see like, oh, you've seen them play this type of person, or you've seen them in this, but here's how they really are. And I think that's really fun to listen to.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be a great space for that, and I think we're going to have really good conversations.
Yes.
Um, but like I said in this episode, it is us getting to introduce ourselves to everyone, and I want to start off with a segment about our recent watches. So yeah, let's start with you. Tell everybody what you've been watching lately.
Okay, I've been trying to get back into TV because I
Mhm.
can't lie, I've fallen off keeping up with the most recent shows and things and seasons. I definitely stick more to movies, so I'm trying to get back into TV. So my friend Gracie, who I host my other podcast with, she watches the TV show From, which isn't new or anything. It's from 2022 is when it first came out, and it has a few seasons now. But basically, it's about these individuals who get stuck in this town and they don't know why. These supernatural forces are keeping them stuck in this little circle basically, and they're trying to find a way out, but it's like supernatural and horror. It's a really interesting concept, so I'm just getting into that and I'm really enjoying that. But that being said, I also am watching some movies. I had a chance to watch Indecent Proposal, one my mom suggested, so we're watching that with Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson. And it's funny, we actually watched it the day of the Golden Globes, right before Demi won her Golden Globe that night, so that was kind of fun to watch that and then to see her win for The Substance later that evening. And then I also had a chance to watch a new Canadian film that just came out called Young Werther. Basically, it's like a Toronto-based romance. It's based on the novel The Stories of Young Werther. It's about a guy who is chasing this girl who is engaged to another man. So it's a very fun little upbeat rom-com based in Toronto. It's very vibrant and I loved it for those reasons. So that is what I've been watching. What about you?
Yeah, no, you have some really interesting stuff that you're catching up with. I share the sentiment with catching up on TV.
Yeah.
I realized last year I didn't watch a whole lot of TV, and I know that there's great TV to be watched. So I understand that, and yeah, Young Werther is one I really wanted to get to. I missed it at TIFF, and it just seems really interesting, and so I'm glad that it's getting out there, and I need to catch it sometime.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so what I've been watching, so I recently, finally, for the first time, this is a big blind spot, guys. You're gonna realize I have a lot of blind spots, and I'm trying to fill those. So one of my blind spots is Dawn of the Dead, the original one. Um,
Ah.
haven't seen it until recently, and so I I really enjoyed watching that. I mean, it's cheesy, right? Like it's the 1970s cheesy horror, but there's it's so fascinating to see all of these tropes that I'm familiar with in the zombie space like happening here,
Yeah.
and just like recognizing like its place in zombie movie history. So great to get that one finally under my belt. So I watched that. Um, I also am at the time of this recording, we're recording this before Sundance, and so I'm getting some Sundance titles in, and one that I want to shout out is The Virgin of Quarry Lake. And it's really interesting. It's a really interesting film and just very kind of under your skin. Kind of suspense, eeriness. You really don't know where it's going. It's kind of a slow burn. But yeah, I could see this movie um, doing a lot of the genre festivals. I would not be surprised if it goes to South by. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up at the genre festivals later on in the year. This was a very interesting one. I'll be curious to see what it does after it premieres at Sundance. Um, so that's been probably one of my favorite pre-fest watches, and so I figured I'd shout that out here. And I mentioned TV, so a friend of mine strongly recommended that I watch Severance. Um, I, it's very curious. Again, at the time of this recording, season two has not come out yet, and so I'm trying to get season one done before season two comes out. And I hear great things about it. I'm three episodes in. It's still kind of laying the foundation. I still am not quite sure where it's going or what's going to go wrong. But certainly an eerie concept. And I think what's fascinating about Severance is like the idea seems to like the idea makes sense. Like yeah, separate your work and your personal life. Something I'm terrible at.
I
You
hear
know?
you on that.
Right, right. So this sounds like a great solution, but I'm really interested in seeing what goes wrong. Apparently, my friend says that it goes very wrong.
Yeah,
So,
Severance is one that's been on my list for a while too. I need to get into it.
yeah, well, with season two coming out, maybe you can just binge season one and season two back to back.
Those are now my plans for the rest of the week.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. I'm excited to be covering Sundance. I think I'm going to publish this after Sundance, so you'll probably see content from me before this goes on the air. But I'm super excited about Sundance and being there. But you have also covered festivals, right? You've covered TIFF, you've covered South by. Nicole, tell me
Yeah.
more about your history in this space of covering film festivals and podcasting.
It's funny, the first year I covered TIFF, I was starting my second year of university. I'm in journalism program, and it was a very whirlwind experience because I had never done anything like it, let alone something as big as the Toronto International Film Festival. It was really thrown into the deep end there. But festivals are just such a fun experience to go to. You get to watch all these movies, so many different ones. I like how you brought up like genre festivals. South by was very interesting. Saw quite a few different ones last year, like The Fall Guy. You had
Mhm.
Immaculate. You had so many different ones, which was really cool to, of course, see them before they come out and get in on that buzz and get excited as they approach their real release date. And then, of course, you have interviews and red carpet, which is such a unique environment too. So it's really great to be able to do all of that, and it's very fast-paced, it's very quick. So it's a great learning experience and something I've really been grateful for to be able to do while I'm in university because I think it's taught me a lot for sure, and then just figuring out how to navigate it. So I think they're a lot of fun. But I mean, Sundance, that is so exciting. I would love to go to Sundance one day. So you must be very excited.
You have to do Sundance sometime. It's a really great festival. And I do this throughout the year because Sundance is at the beginning of the year. A TIFF is right ahead of award season. And so they're both film festivals. They both have their a version of prestige and how people think about them, but they're so different. They're
Yeah.
such different festivals. And you kind of think, oh, all festivals are kind of the same. They show movies, they have celebrities and whatever, right? No, very, very different experiences. So I would highly recommend doing Sundance at some point. But TIFF is wild. So what was your first? What year is your first TIFF that you covered?
2023. So I've only done it
2023.
2 years now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
2023. I do remember my first time going to Toronto. It's insane. It's so big and there's so much to do and it is a whirlwind. You just have no idea if you're in the right places, if you're
Yeah.
like, who are you gonna run into? How does this all work? It's wild.
Yeah. It was funny. The first year I did it was when they had the SAG-AFTRA strike going on and the
Right.
Writers Guild strike. So it wasn't as big as normal, which actually I'm quite grateful for because as big as it is, this year was like 10 times bigger. So I was glad at least kind of had that like stepping stone into it. But it's interesting what you said too about festivals being different from each other because it's so true. When I went to South by Southwest last year, very different experience than TIFF and just how they run it. TIFF is very they have the theaters close together. Everything's in
Mhm.
very similar vicinities, where South by, it's kind of all over Austin. You have different theaters all over the place. They have different setups. They don't have press screenings. A lot of the big ones
Mm.
only show on their premiere night, and that's it. You got to get in or you don't see it at all. So, all very different things. So, it's cool to navigate the different types of festivals and to have those unique experiences at the different festivals you go to.
Yeah, South by, I've only been able to cover South by virtually. I got into the film festival space during the pandemic. One of my really good friends, Taylor Baker, who is the host of the podcast Drink in the Movies. I remember I was talking with him when the pandemic started, and at that point, I had done some interviews, like virtually, just kind of like with various. We get PR emails all the time, and I'm very familiar with them now. But back then, I'm like, oh my God, people want my want my coverage. They want my interviews. Let's do this. And so I was doing a little bit of that. Um, but my friend Taylor, the pandemic happened, everything was shutting down, and he said, "Hey Thomas, festivals are starting to take applications online, and you should do that." And I'm like, "There is no way. There's no way. I'm just this little website. I'm not doing a whole lot. I didn't have any other writers a part of the website at the time. It's just me." And so just on a whim, I threw my application at Fantasia, and I'm like, "Nah, put that out there, see what they say." Um, and Fantasia accepted me. And I was like, oh, no way. I get to cover Fantasia virtually. Um, which was wild. And so I really dove in like the deep end on that one, just like watching as much as I could, writing about as much as I could. So lots of sleepless nights because again, I have no
Mhm.
idea what I'm doing here. And so I'm just like trying to put in all the time and all the effort and after Fantasia accepted me, I was like, okay, well, let's see what AFI has to say. And so I threw my application at AFI and I got into that one too. And then it was when South by accepted me virtually that I was like, okay, I got to get really serious about this.
You're 3 for 3. You got it.
I know, right? All these people are just like wanting me to be to cover these festivals, and it was so unexpected. Um, but I did after South by was when I started going big. I covered South by and really started getting my feet under me, and so then I applied for TIFF, and I did the Media Inclusion Initiative virtually with TIFF,
Cool.
which was such a great experience for anyone out there considering applying for the Media Inclusion Initiative for any festival. I know Sundance has a variation of this, TIFF has a variation of this. I highly recommend it, highly. Um, because it's a really great opportunity to network. It's a really great
Mhm.
opportunity to learn more about journalism and to learn more about how this entertainment space works. And you really get to get access that is kind of hard to get otherwise. My Rotten Tomatoes certification is largely thanks to the fact that I did the Media Inclusion Initiative. So I strongly recommend that for anyone who has not done that yet. But yeah, from there the story just I mean it just kind of everything fell into place. TIFF and then Sundance, and after that festivals started going back in person, and I realized I should probably start going to these festivals. I don't think they're going to be virtual forever.
Thank gosh.
Right, right. So I started throwing my PTO at festivals and learning to plan early and
Yeah.
starting to figure out the space. I'm fortunate that so it's I mean, how cool is it that you get to have Toronto in your backyard, the Toronto Film Festival in
Right?
your backyard?
So lucky I am.
I've heard that TIFF really kind of changes how the town is because I've never been to Toronto outside of TIFF. So like what is the perspective of TIFF for locals in Toronto?
You know what? It's funny. Some of my friends that live right downtown, I live a little outside and commute to school, but I have friends who live right in the city and they hate when TIFF comes because they're like, it messes up our transit, it messes up everything. But it's the first weekend they close off all of King Street there, or the festival street at least, and they have all the vendors on the road. So, of course, that messes with everyone's moving and schedules a little bit there. But I think it's just brings everyone together. Like
Mhm.
so many people love TIFF, and it is a big buzz for months leading up to it. Posters are everywhere across the city. Everyone gets very excited. I mean, it's so many things are shot in Toronto, but it's
Mhm.
very cool to see like all these actors and filmmakers and just out on the streets everywhere you go, you can see something happening for TIFF, and I think it just really brings the city together in a way, which is really cool to see. But yes, I do have some friends that are like, we gotta stay out for the 11 days. We're leaving the city.
I don't blame them. If you've never been to TIFF, it's a lot going on that street, and yeah, if you live downtown, that does have to mess things up. I mean, it messed things up for me as an attendee. Like, guys, get out of my way. I got a screening to get to. I got a
Yeah.
press line to get to, a red carpet to get to. So that's funny. But do you just like I've always wondered this because again, I've only been in Toronto during the festival, but do celebrities just like do you just run into celebrities while like around the TIFF time? They just are walking around and you just, encounter them?
I have not personally, but I have a
Okay.
friend that I work with at my campus radio station who Heretic premiered at TIFF
Yes,
last
yes,
year,
yes.
and Hugh Grant was there. And the next morning, she was heading towards the festival street, and he was just on a run. He was just
Oh,
running around Toronto. She's like, "You'll never guess who I randomly ran into this morning." Hugh Grant was just walking around.
literally,
But
yeah, it's just hanging out. Man, that must be weird to, just encounter someone just on the run. Again, we think of these celebrities in like these, really prominent positions, but they're just people. They have cardio to do as well, you
They're just
know.
ordinary people. It was last year too at South by. My
Yep.
friend Gracie again, she was walking to a press screening and Cole Sprouse was just standing on the street and she ended up talking to him for a minute and he's like, "Oh, I'm just heading over here. Want to walk with me?" And they chatted for like 5 minutes. He's like, "Okay, I gotta go. I'll see you later."
That's cool. See, I love
Yeah.
when celebrities are that cool and just like
Yeah.
chill and understand kind of like where we as individuals are coming from and
Yeah.
are willing to to engage with us like that. So that's so cool.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
It sounds like Gracie has a lot of experience and a lot of stories. We'll have to have her on at some point.
Right? Yeah, she has so many stories. I love sharing her work.
That's awesome. My local festival, I actually live right in between the Seattle International Film Festival and the Vancouver International Film Festival, which
Wow.
is a very fortunate thing for me because it's very easy to get to either one of them for me. So it's an hour and a half drive either way. I'm literally right in between. And Seattle happens in May and Vancouver happens in like a week after TIFF. So it's just like perfect because with Vancouver is kind of like encore TIFF. They get a lot of TIFF movies, and so I love that I can go to TIFF and I can see as much as I can, but I can also plan on like if I can't see it at TIFF, I'll see it in Vancouver. Um and then Seattle happens, of course, after Sundance, and so they get some of the Sundance titles, but they also do a really great job of curating movies from the whole like the whole festival run from Cannes all the way up to spring. So they I like to think of it as like a greatest hits of the festival circuit that haven't uh, released yet. And they do a really great job programming that. So we don't quite get the talent that TIFF does. But they do a really great job of getting as many filmmakers as they can to come and do Q&As and be there to talk about the movies and Q&As are just I've learned to value Q&As a lot more because I think early on in my experience with this, it was all about watching the movies and just like getting as many movies in as I can. But now that I've sat through Q&As you can watch the movie and then hear the Q&A and get more context about what you just watched. And some movies really benefit from that. I
Yeah.
think most movies benefit from that. And I've learned to stay for the Q&A. Just hear what the filmmakers have to say, hear their perspectives and their stories, and it certainly helps pad your perspective of what you just watched.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It was funny. The first year I went, I would sometimes voice memo record the Q&As, be like, what if they say something important? Which I mean, they do for sure. And it's
Hmm.
good sometimes to have those. I mean, they usually end up posted online
Hmm.
somewhere anyways,
Yeah.
but for you to go and find them. But I agree. The first year I was like, I have to fit as many movies in as I can. Whereas this year at TIFF, I found I was more prioritizing interviews and like those
Hmm.
opportunities to speak with filmmakers and things of those nature. Because I mean, you can always see the movie when they're released, but you can't always speak to the people behind them. So I think it's important to take advantage of those resources when you have them.
Yeah, it's I totally agree with that. And that's exactly the mentality I've had is like these movies, it would be great to see them ahead of time, but you can always see the movies at some point. They'll come out eventually. And but these opportunities to talk to people just aren't always going to be there. Um my I've told this story a few times, but there is certainly one Q&A experience that's just like top of mind from any time I talk about Q&As, and it happened this year at Sundance. So last year, sorry, not last year, the year before last.
Gotcha.
Um trying to think where we are. Yes, TIFF 2023. Um Hitman was uh was at the festival.
Yes.
Um and it was so far off my radar. I was not it I saw the image of Glenn Powell and I'm like that tells me nothing. Richard
Yeah.
Linklater is a sell. Like I
Mm.
that's something of interest, but like I have so many other movies to get to. And so um, it was very last minute, like the very last day. My friends are like, Thomas, you have to see Hitman, and so I changed my ticket from American Fiction to Hitman,
Ooh,
um, and that was a tough choice because everyone was
it is
buzzing
a
about
tough
American
choice.
Fiction, um, and so I did. I saw Hitman, and anyone who knows me knows I gush about this movie all the time, right? So I go out, I leave TIFF, and that was the time of the writer's strike, and so there was no Q&A, and nobody was there. We just watched the movie and had a great time with it. So when it was announced that Sundance would also be playing Hitman, and I was going to be at Sundance, I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to see Hitman again. Of course, I have priorities. I have things I need to get to. So if it works out, um, and so on my last day again at Sundance, I was at lunch with some friends before I had to go out to my flight. Um, and they were like, "We're gonna go see Hitman today," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's screening here." And they're like, "Yeah, the premiere is tonight," and I was like, "Oh, what time?" And they told me the time, and I did the math, and I'm like, I could make it to that screening.
You could do it.
Let me try to get a ticket, right? And so I managed to get a ticket, and I went to the screening, and it's tight. Like my flight was like what, an hour and some change after the screening ends, and so Park City is a 40-minute drive to the airport.
Oh
um
no.
I'm cutting it so close, like once this movie ends I have to go, right? And this is where the Q&A topic comes in, because once the movie ended, Richard Linklater and Glenn Powell got on stage, and I'm like,
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm not leaving
No.
and missing this Q&A. Absolutely not. And so the movie ended, they come out on stage, and I get my phone out and I'm recording the Q&A, and it goes for like 20-25 minutes.
Yeah.
And my friends are like, Thomas, don't you have a plan to catch? I'm like, shh, Glenn Powell's talking.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Shush, I'll be fine, right? And it was really really cool to be there, because anyone who saw the movie at TIFF or at NIF, or any of the fall festivals, we all know that there was a scene that everybody was just like buzzing about in that movie, with Glenn Powell and AJ Androna just kind of improving this conversation while being bugged. It was a highlight scene, right? And so in the Q&A, it's funny, Glenn Powell, the very first question was, tell us about making that scene. Like, most people there were there to see the scene again.
Yeah.
And Glenn Powell, he talked about it, he was like, yeah, that was a lot of fun, da 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 da. It was really interesting that everybody applauded after that. And we then realized, oh, that's right, you weren't in Toronto when we all saw that scene for the first time. And so yeah, most of us came back to see that scene again, and the whole theater applauded after that scene happened. And it caught Glenn Powell off guard. And so I left that that Q&A and just had to race to the airport, and I got to
Like I
my
said, did
flight.
you make it?
I got there 30 seconds before they closed the door. They were literally closing the door, and I was hauling all of my bags, just like, wait,
Please hold it open.
wait. I got on that plane so sweaty. I feel so bad who was sitting next to me.
You don't understand. I was watching Glenn Powell.
I was
Wait.
watching, hold the plane. There were important things I had to do before I left.
I would do that too for Glenn Powell and Richard Linklater. I can't lie. I don't blame you.
Right, exactly. It was the only reasonable decision to make.
Absolutely.
But yeah, now I have this story about how I almost missed my flight home, and it was going to be really expensive to
Yeah.
change that flight. So
Yeah.
I was doing the math on the way to the airport, like how much did that Q&A cost me?
Like, please speed up, please.
Right. So that was fun. I mean, do you have any stories from film festivals that stand out to you? Is there an experience that you had that was just like something that is that you just will remember forever while you're at a festival?
I think this year for sure for me was probably We Live in Time. I was at the premiere for that one
Oh,
where
very cool.
Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield were there for that, and John Crowley. And that ended up being my favorite movie of last year, just in general, even outside of
Hmm.
the festival circuit. I don't know. Well, I just thought it was a great movie.
Hmm.
And it was very interesting to hear Andrew and Florence's perspectives on it. And Florence actually started tearing up as she was talking about some of the scenes, like they have the birth scene in there if they're a kid.
Hmm.
And it was just I don't know, after you get out of the movie and you're very moved by it, to hear the actor's perspective on it and hear them get emotional about making it and just hearing all that passion out of it, I think it just even makes it elevates the movie. It makes you feel so much more appreciation for it than maybe you already did. So that for me, I think was the memorable movie of TIFF
Oh,
this
very
past
cool.
year. But I have to admit, seeing Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt at South by last year at the premiere for The Fall Guy was also a pretty big top.
Oh my gosh, that's also something I would miss a flight for.
Right? I was like, there's no, it's funny because South by, I mean, with TIFF, it's different when you're trying to
Right.
get tickets for movies, but South by, you just have to stand in the general line with everyone else because you get
Oh.
the badge passes like anyone else would, whether they're whoever they are, press, public, whatever it may be. And so Gracie and I got there 3.5 hours before the movie was starting. And when I tell you we maybe just made it in, like we
Oh wow.
maybe we were like doing the math and we were like, I don't know if we're gonna make it. I mean, it was already halfway through the festival at this point, so we kind of had been in this line many times already, and we were
Right.
like, okay, we've been here before and we got in, we've been here before and we've made it. And everyone in line was stressed. We were all stressed together. We are like, we have to be in the room with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. There's no way we cannot be. And thankfully, we got in. It was very tight for seats. We thankfully found one kind of in the front of the balcony, but it was off to the side. So we were
Mm.
blocked by the speakers a little bit. But it
Oh.
was either be a million feet away from the stage and up in the back,
Hmm.
or get a little bit of a blocking, but have a very clear view of them on stage afterwards. So we chose
Hmm.
that one and it worked out well. So that was pretty exciting to see, but definitely very stressful.
Oh my gosh, I feel the stress for you. I've, I think we've all been there. Like, are we going to get into this theater? I must be in here.
There's no other option.
Oh,
But
that.
yeah, I think it's so fun. Film festivals, they're to me the best place to watch a movie because
Hmm.
you have no other viewing experience like when you have hundreds of people in the theater who want to be there, who are movie lovers, who maybe love the actor or the filmmaker or just movies in general, and everyone has such outward reactions to the movies, no matter what you're watching. Everyone's clapping, everyone's cheering, people are crying, depending on what movie you're seeing. I think it's just so cool to be in an audience with that kind of reaction and that kind of atmosphere. I always feel like when I come out of a film festival movie, maybe I loved it a little bit more than I ever would have just
Hmm.
because of the atmosphere that you're watching it in.
I've had to learn that as well. Because I leave these film festivals and I just like gush about films and I just like, hey, this was so great. This was so great. And I just I'm in my top 10 list. I have a couple, actually a lot of the movies in my top 10 were movies I saw at film festivals.
Yeah,
And I just have to recognize like very few people are going to see this movie the way that I did.
yeah,
Um not everyone gets to have that film festival experience. Most of the time, for the general public, they're already exposed to promo material, they're already exposed to reviews, they're already exposed to hype, and so they have this context of what to expect. At a film festival, a lot of times you really have no idea what to expect. With TIFF, all you hear is, "Oh yeah, Venice went wild over this film," right? Like you have
yeah,
to see it,
exactly.
or oh, it's this director, and they did this, this, and this, but we don't know anything about this next movie, so we'll have to see it. There's so
Yeah.
much. You go into it kind of blind. And I think my going into it blind story, my favorite one ever, ever, is What's Inside. Um, I was at the
Oh,
world premiere of that, uh,
nice.
and I said again, I said this in my top 10 list, but I I had this really strong hunch that that movie was going to be a banger even before it premiered. Like
Yeah.
when the list dropped and I'm reading through descriptions, I read that one. It was literally one sentence, and I'm like, sold. Publicist. I need red carpet. I need premiere ticket. I need expo. Like, get me all of the access to this movie. I don't know what it is. It's a directorial debut, so
Yeah.
I don't even have any context over like what this director has made before. I just know nothing.
Yeah.
But that's exactly how I want it to be. And so I'm doing the red carpet interviews, um and got to reconnect with an actor who I'd interviewed before, James Morosini, and so that was kind of cool to talk with him ahead of the film, and get to talk with the whole cast, and all of the interviews were like, oh, we can't say that, oh, that's going to give something away, oh, like you just have to see it, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm so hyped for this film, and I just in the theater when they hit the button to activate the machine,
Yeah.
you could feel the energy in the theater go, what? Because nobody knew at this point that this was a body swapping movie. Nobody knew this, right? And so it's just like there's a box and there's this party going on and the cast is really fun, but like what's happening in this box? And
Right.
it just feels so surreal to not have known what was in the box, and then to watch it and then have to keep up with what's going on in this movie,
Yeah.
which was executed so perfectly. So I mean, that's one of my favorite film festival experiences of all time. The fact that I was there when what was in the box was revealed.
That is so cool. When I watched that on Netflix in the fall last year, I regretted so much. I think it was at South by, and I never watched it. I
Mm-hmm.
remember reading about it, and I just didn't get to see it.
Right.
And instantly, as I'm sitting on my couch, the regret just set in. I was like, I messed up on that one
Aw.
completely.
And that happens sometimes, right? Like
Yeah,
you have so many tough choices to make at festivals. It's
yeah,
tough.
so
You
many.
that
Yeah,
you just don't know what to expect. You don't know what's gonna hit, what what's gonna have legs and whatever, right? So like you have to make really tough choices. And
yeah,
sometimes you make really good choices and it's like,
yeah.
wow, I am so happy that I made that choice. Hitman, for example, right?
Right. Yeah.
But sometimes you miss them and you just got to catch them, when they come out.
Exactly. My one that you're when you're talking about seeing movies that is kind of overhyped maybe when you're watching it in that environment
Mhm.
was Roadhouse for me last year.
Oh,
I saw
interesting.
Roadhouse at the world premiere, and I mean, everyone was so into it. Everyone was cheering and clapping, and it was great. And then I raved about, no, okay. I was like, it's a fun action movie. It's
Right.
fresh. I think it's an okay remake. Like I didn't think it. I thought it did somewhat justice to the original.
Hmm.
And great Gracie watched it after when it came out on streaming the next week. She was like,
Mm.
Nicole, what? Did you see the same movie that I saw? She's like, I'm not sure that it was the same. And I'm like, no, but you don't get it. You were
You
watching
don't
it on a
get.
laptop at home. You don't understand. But yeah, so sometimes I feel like have to evaluate and I'm like, wait, how is everyone else gonna be watching this? Let me
Hmm.
think how I would have reacted if I was watching this differently, maybe at home. Yeah, that one might have been a miss
Hmm.
on my part, but I still stand by the fact that it was fun. So
Right, right, exactly. And this is why it's so tough to like rate and review films because the experience it can be so different from people for people.
yeah.
And I will never say, "Oh, you got that rating wrong on that movie," because that
No,
was your experience. You had this really
exactly.
awesome experience at the film festival and you can't diminish your opinion of that because, it doesn't play exactly the same way for everyone else. This was just your experience. And I'm glad you
Exactly.
enjoyed Roadhouse. I'm glad you were I am so happy you were able to enjoy that one.
Me and about 20 other people.
Right.
Oh, man.
Um, but so you're also we also do red carpets, right? And we also
Yeah.
talk with celebrities. So like who has been your most high profile uh person to have interviewed so far?
You know, I think I gotta go with Hugh Grant on that one.
Hugh
That might
Grant.
have been the most terrifying moment of my life because I mean he's kind of notorious for not interviewing that
Right.
well.
Right.
And so I mean we just got one question with him. I didn't even know if we were gonna get him, and I had prepared for like 3 hours before that. I came up with maybe two questions. I'm calling my mom, I'm calling my friends. I'm like, do you think you'll hate this? Do you think you'll hate this? You've seen this movie. Like, what do you think? She's like, Nicole, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be great. And so we get there. I was with my other friend that I work with at my radio station at my university, and we were freaking out. We were like, maybe we won't even get him. We don't know.
Right.
Not 2 minutes later, we're turned around doing fixing our camera. We turn around, he's like three people behind us. He
Oh
all of a
wow.
sudden he appeared, and we were like, oh no. And so he came up, and I mean, we asked him one question. He just gave us like a short little answer, but I was happy with that because I was like, that
Yes.
could have gone badly. I don't know. Any interview could go differently than how you want it to, and
Right.
we're happy with that. We're good. We're good with like his two-word answer. He kind of just chuckled and then we were like, okay, thanks. And that
Hmm.
was great. But yeah, that was an interesting experience for sure. And probably the one I was definitely most nervous for. What
Hmm.
about you?
Yeah, you must have been on the same press line as my team because we my team members Luca and I believe John was there also interviewed Hugh Grant. And so it was kind of it was really awesome opportunity to talk with them and they got one question and I think they did a good job with that. So it seemed like he was really chill on that red carpet. I'm happy that
Yes.
everyone was able to get to chat with him.
Yeah.
Um I'm trying to think. Red carpets. I guess I've done a bunch of them. It was yeah. Oh, Justice Smith. I talked to Justice at Sundance last year.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, for I saw the TV Glow. And
Awesome.
again, the movie it was at the world premiere. Nobody really knew what to expect.
Yeah,
And it it was really cool getting his perspective on this movie that at that time I hadn't seen and wasn't really sure about or didn't really know a whole lot about. And I think the fun part about that is doing the interview, asking the generic questions and trying to get kind of their
right.
response, and then seeing the movie and then contextualizing that
Yeah.
that conversation. And I think that fit pretty well. So yeah, he's such a chill dude. He also has a really great fashion
Seems it.
sense.
Yes.
Uh, because yeah, I was digging his outfit that day. So yeah, he's such a cool dude, and yeah, I'd love to see whatever he has going on next, and hopefully catch him on another red carpet.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
funny when you're on red carpets and like having to ask those generic questions because then you go and do watch the movie and you're like, oh
I
man,
have all these
I wish
questions.
and now I have like 10 questions I want to go back and ask them now that I've seen it.
Right. Yeah, and you just do your best, right? Like I
Yeah,
think that when you do this long enough, and maybe you're at this point as well, you kind of have a stock of questions that you can ask
yeah,
anyone pretty much, right?
yeah,
And so
exactly.
you just kind of you dig into that pile and try to find the most compelling based on what you know about the film. And yeah, you make those conversations work, and I that's why I really enjoy kind of the one-on-one conversations and just being able to at least try to ask a little bit more about the film, and having seen the film, then try to see the film ahead of time. And so that's it's always a challenge. Sometimes access
Yeah,
isn't as readily available. But yeah, no, it's still a really fun thing.
yeah,
Um, when I was at TIFF, it wasn't last year, the year before last. I did an interview with Christos Nikou. He's a Greek filmmaker, and he had a film that year. Why am I spacing on the film name? Spacing on the film name. But I really enjoy. Oh, Fingernails. That's right. Um, and uh, I was able to watch the movie like a couple hours before the interview, and so I'm like
yeah,
scrambling to hash out my questions and like get everything ready. And this was a an interview that the studio was hosting, so it was their equipment and stuff. And when I walked in that room and I saw the camera setup, I saw the lighting, I saw how super official. I'd never done an interview like this before. Like I've
yeah,
done plenty of interviews, right? But when
yeah.
I saw the production value of this, I was like, oh my God, I have to stick this interview. Like this, I cannot mess up on this interview. Do not trip over a question. Make sure you ask your most compelling stuff. Don't look stupid. You know,
Got
like
that checklist.
I know. And I was just running through that checklist in my head as I'm like setting up. I have like 30 seconds to like, get my questions out and sit down and like take in this environment. Um, that was nerve-wracking. Christos he was a super cool guy to talk with, very, very laid back, and I enjoyed that interview. But I was just sweating on the inside because I'm like, I cannot mess this interview up. This production value is too good. I don't get this opportunity all that often. Like, don't mess it up, Thomas.
You got the lights on you. It's hot in there. Those lights are
Right.
so hot.
It's wild. That interview actually it did turn out really good. And I was really happy to have had that opportunity. And I really liked the movie Fingernails, and it was a fun one to talk about too. So
Well, I'm so glad it went well. That's exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So are you doing South by again this year? Do you know?
I'm not,
Oh, that's
unfortunately.
right, because you're gonna be out of the country.
I
Yeah,
yeah.
just fly
I'm
back.
so sad about it though. I keep seeing, I follow them on Instagram and they keep posting, and I think the schedule first part of it's coming out in the next few days. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I know I'm gonna be so sad, even more so when the schedule comes out. But are you going this year?
I will not be going this year. One of these years, I got to get to South by in person. I hear great things. I've talked with filmmakers who've screened their films at South by, and they just rave about the festival.
Yeah.
I would love to go one of these years. So South by is on my bucket list. Fantasia in person also is on my bucket list. I have not
Yeah.
done that yet. I've only done it virtually. And as the first film festival that I've ever covered, I feel like at some point I need to actually get there and be in person sometime.
A full
Um,
circle moment for you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But one of these years, I'm really gunning for Cannes. I would
That would be
love,
awesome.
I'd love to get over there. Love to get over
Yeah.
there.
I,
Uh,
I have a friend I met in South by, and New York, I think she is in,
mhm.
and she got to go last year. She applied on a whim, and
So
she ended up
cool.
getting in for the writing website, their website she writes for, and she just loved it. She thought it was really cool. Again, super different experience than all
Hmm.
the other film festivals than from what she told me, but that would be such a cool festival to go to.
Yeah, I've helped a friend lock down tickets for that. Oh my
Yeah.
God. We complain about like Toronto and Sundance and like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to get tickets. That process for getting your press tickets at Cannes is
Yeah.
nerve-wracking.
Oh man.
So I logged in and he's like, you just have to go really quick, just get as many as you can really quick. And so when the time hit, I logged in, I went, I clicked, got one ticket, went, clicked, got two tickets. Everything sold out.
Oh no, no,
So
no.
like that is the strategy. You just have to get friends to get into your
Yep.
account and just everyone get two tickets because
Yes.
if in a matter of 10 seconds everything will sell out.
Yeah. It's
It's
crazy.
it's just insane. And so I'm thankful for him for introducing that to me because I would be very frustrated if I went
Yes.
to Cannes and did
Yeah.
not know this.
Right? Oh man, I know. It's like a Hunger Games for movie tickets, I swear,
Yes. Oh
sometimes.
yes. And you know what? I will throw elbows. Okay.
Yeah,
Look.
yeah, absolutely.
I
No mercy.
Do you have a bucket list of film festivals that you want to go to?
Venice would be one I would
Yeah.
love to go to one day. And I always laugh because it's so funny how close it is to TIFF because those are two of the bigger film festivals for sure. And they're right back to
Mhm.
back. So sometimes I think that the journalists who do end up going to Venice and then they come to TIFF, I think, man, I'm exhausted by the end of TIFF. I can't imagine also doing Venice before all this even starts. But Venice would be one I would love to go to. Cannes is another one I'd love to go to.
Mhm.
Fantasia, I've never been, would love
Mhm.
to do Fantasia as well, and Sundance as well. So many
Mm.
I would love to see.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, there's so many festivals throughout the year, but it can be kind of tough juggling everything. Like festivals are a lot of work. I'm sure
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Um, something that I've run into with doing this work is burnout and like hitting that wall, hitting that threshold where it's like, okay, I gotta like chill. I gotta take it down and like recover a little bit. How do you approach that? How do you deal with like avoiding burnouts or like managing your bandwidth?
I think I've tried to get better at staying on top of some of my writing content because I find I'm better at editing videos of interviews and things in the moment, getting some like social media reactions and like on X and Instagram, getting some reviews out there for movies quicker. But for my longer form reviews, sometimes I feel like I plan to go back and do them at the hotel or wherever it may be after I go and see the movie, and then it just does not end up happening. But and then I leave the vessel, I'm like, great. No, I have like 10 reviews to write. But I no, for sure. I think definitely, especially doing something like TIFF and South by that are like over a week long, it
Hmm.
can be very easy to let that get away from you, especially in the first few days, and you're like, go,
Hmm.
go, go. And then by like day 4 or 5, you're like, I'm done. I feel done. I think stay on top of trying to get as many meals as you can, even if that's just popcorn in the theater, eat and drink. And I just get work where you can done in the day. And
Hmm.
so you can try and sleep at night because it's very easy to be like, I'm just gonna go back and do this after. Then it quickly is 4 a.m. and you got to be up at 8. So
Yes.
I think just trying to learn how to balancing act. I still definitely don't have it down to science at all. But I think with every festival I do, I kind of learn different things about how I want to approach that and managing how everything's getting published. So I think it's just a balancing game, and what works for one person might not work for someone else, but
Hmm.
figuring out for you what's the best way to approach it and when and how and where, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. No, I have friends who will go to TIFF and just shotgun 6 movies a day
Yeah.
for like 5 days. You know, I am so happy that works for them.
Yeah. No. I am glad some people can do that.
Right. That is not conducive to my lifestyle. I cannot do that many movies. And I
Yeah.
used to. I tried. I used to, just try to like get as many movies in as I can. It's only a short period of time. Let's just go, go, go. But it is a lot. I realized that I need sleep.
Yep.
And so I feel it's unfortunate because I've never been to TIFF Midnight Madness. And I want to. I would love to go to Midnight Madness, but y'all, that starts at midnight.
Right. My mistake this year, very first day. So I live about an hour train ride from downtown Toronto. And
Okay.
so my friend and I left here 6 a.m. We got on the train to get downtown because we wanted
Mhm.
to get to our hotel, do our bag check in there, and then head down to the festival area. So we'd been up since like 5 a.m. and I
Right.
went to the Substance Midnight Madness screening that night.
Oh,
When
oh,
I tell
actually,
you that was I mean, it was a great idea,
right.
but a bad idea at the same time. I got back to the hotel at like 4
Right.
after the Q&A, and I was like, this was a very bad idea to do on the very first day. Don't recommend. Thomas, don't do it.
Right. I would have loved to have been at the Substance premiere, and I had a few team members who were there and just said it was a
Yeah,
wild time. And of course, we've
it was
seen the Substance
crazy.
now.
Yeah,
It would have been amazing to have been at that premiere, but I took a red eye into Toronto that morning. So
yeah,
I was on a plane the night before. I did not sleep that well, and I
no,
already knew that is not going to work for a midnight movie. So a 2.5 hour midnight movie.
exactly. Then the Q&A.
Then
No,
yeah, yeah, that's not going to work for me, and I had to make a very tough decision and miss the Substance at TIFF. Fortunately, it I think it released like the next week, and so I made it a
yeah,
priority to go to the opening, the wide release, right after the festival, and it still kind of felt festival.
yeah,
Although I'm watching the film and I'm like, this would have been wicked at the
yeah,
Midnight Madness premiere. That would have been
yeah.
really cool. So I'm
It was
happy that
incredible.
you went, but I am so sorry for the days after that trying to recover.
I completely did that to myself. That was
Right.
100% on me.
Oh man. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna let's wrap this conversation up for this episode. And like
Yeah,
I said, in the future, for future episodes, I want to have these kind of conversations with filmmakers and like people that we can, talk more about their profession and their role in the industry, but also just like, what they who they are as people.
yeah.
But we'll close with this question. What is your favorite snack when watching a movie?
Oh, I love that question. Okay.
Hmm.
I very rarely go to the theater without getting popcorn. I mean, movie
Popcorn is
theater
great.
popcorn is just its own level, but my favorite would, I think it has to be a tie between Maltesers and peanut butter M&Ms, and
Yeah.
in the popcorn.
In the
It's
popcorn.
the only way to do it.
I was gonna say the same thing. So in candy in the popcorn, there's just something about that sweet and salty.
Hmm.
I usually do Raisinets or the chocolate covered raisins.
Okay, love that.
Either that or Skittles.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, Skittles are a good one. Do you original Skittles or like the sour, the berry?
So I typically do the original, but I would mind experimenting with the berry ones. That would be kind of cool.
They're good. They're good too. I could see that in the popcorn too. That'd be good.
Yes, so candy and popcorn, guys. We are advocates of that here on on Convos and Cameos.
Very much.
Uh, oh well, Nicole, thank you so much for doing this pilot episode with me. I'm looking forward to having a lot of conversations with filmmakers and with you, and just getting to talk more about movies and filmmaking and just the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to continue filming these episodes. This is so much fun.
Yeah, do you want to plug really quick where people can find your podcast?
Yeah, so my podcast, my other podcast called As Seen on Screen, it is at Scene is spelled SCENE. So As Seen on Screen, you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok.
I also have to say, I love when names wordplay like that. So that is just like I saw that on social media when I first started following, and I was just like, yeah, that's great. What a great name.
Thank you, thank you. That took way too long than I'd like to admit for us to come up with the name. But come on, for real, yours is the exact same. I love it so much.
Yeah, that I mean, you'll hear me say for real all the time, and I remember trying to think of a name, and I'm just like, I say this phrase all the time. Maybe I can just stylize it a little bit.
I love it. It works perfectly.
Well, thank you. Yes, and you can find For Real content at thisisforreal.com. Of course, For Real spelled Forreel. And yeah, be on the lookout for more episodes and filmmaking talent that we get to talk about. So
Yeah.
thank you, Nicole. We'll wrap it up there. Until next time, everyone, we will see you then.
Thanks. Bye.